We are live. Chef Eric here, the Grateful Chef, on the 1-year anniversary of this show, Cooking in the Grateful Chef Kitchen with Chef Eric. That's me, and I'm so, as always, grateful that you join me each and every week or watch it afterwards, where on the Grateful Chef with Eric Eisenbud group, where it remains and lives in perpetuity. That means forever, until I delete it. So yeah, real grateful to the almost 900 members of the group in just a year, and almost 52 episodes, give or take a couple of weeks. We took off. Again, almost 900 members, hundreds of hours of video and content, and thousands of pictures, and many friends, so many that I can't even count. So for you, I am extremely grateful, because I wouldn't be doing this if I was just doing it to nobody. And you guys are everybody to me. So thanks again. I'm really extremely happy. And I'm super happy today because we have a studio audience, old friends from high school.
Yeah.
Right? For my local friends, a man that needs no introduction, Paul Florio, and his lovely sister, Patty. So awesome. So glad. So Paul's up from Florida. See, no distance is too great.
That's right.
So he came up just to see and be part of the Grateful Chef Kitchen, and his high school reunion happens to be this weekend. But I know that he came up just for the show. So
I reserved this first.
He reserved it months ago. So really excited and happy. And of course, Lynn, who is our producer, our camera woman, and the wind beneath my wings, is looking perplexed. Are you okay? She's okay. Anyway, so happy anniversary to everybody. We are doing a continuation of Thanksgiving side dishes, and we are kind of giving you some ideas to do. Looking for the recipes will be on the group, and hopefully on our website, www.eatingwithcheferic.com, where you got lots of great content, travel stuff, recipes, photos, all sorts of good stuff. So that's where the community can go, and people, you can even put your own restaurant recommendations for the towns and cities that we visit. So tonight, we're going to get right to cooking, because that's what we do on this show, real live cooking. Real string bean casserole. Casseroles are not a big part of my repertoire. You know, it's very Betty Crocker. I don't know how else to put it. But
for you, it's Betty Crocker.
For me, it's Betty Crocker.
It's not really Betty Crocker.
Yeah. Okay. So, no offense to anybody, I hope, especially Betty Crocker.
There you go.
So we were doing real string bean casserole. We struggled between string bean or green bean. They're pretty much the same thing.
I wrote up green bean.
She wrote green bean. I wrote string bean. So we're doing the real thing. So we're not opening a can here, folks. That's not what we do in the Grateful Chef Kitchen most of the time. Okay. Sometimes we do. Now, I have all the deepest respect. I have eaten this string bean casserole every Thanksgiving for decades, just like you. But ours is going to elevate it just a little bit, and I'm hoping you guys give it a try. It's really cool. Yes, Lynn?
So you say real string bean casserole. I would say it is fresh string bean casserole with all fresh ingredients.
That's what I meant, fresh string bean casserole.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to get right to it, because there's a couple of elements. Now, I had to do a lot of it in advance. In fact, I have one already made in the oven because of the timing. You know, we don't want to take up all the show, me, frying shallots. So I'm going to talk about the shallots really quick. So I've made enough, so I have enough to do it on Thanksgiving. And what's really cool is once you eat these, you will never go back to the canned fried onions again. All right, so Lynn is reaching towards them. She's addicted. So these are shallots. A shallot is kind of between a garlic and onion. They're readily available. And what I did was I peeled them, and I looked for the round ones. Sometimes they come in two together. I had to get a couple of those, but I try and find the single ones. And on a mandolin slicer, those things you always cut your finger on, but I wear cut-free glove now, or on 1/8 of an inch. So I just slice them all, and then it's really simple. You put oil. I used a vegetable oil. I don't want the flavor, the bitterness of olive oil. You put the oil and the shallots in the pan. You turn the pan on high, and you let it go. And what happens is there's so much moisture in the shallots, they're not going to burn. So I just want to move them around. They're going to start to separate for about 10 minutes. And then after the 10 minutes, I'm going to start stirring constantly. And what's going to happen is in about another 4 or 5 minutes, they're going to start to turn golden brown. Once they start to turn brown, you got to be very careful because they will turn like that. So I bring it to what I would consider a golden brown. And then I strain them out and I reserve that oil. The oil is gold, shallot oil. I strained it out. I had a baking pan with about 6 layers of paper towel. And I poured them on there. And I picked up the first layer and I rolled them onto the second layer, patted it dry. I took the second layer, rolled them onto the third layer, patted them dry. And I did that until I was down to that bottom layer. And then I let them sit at room temperature for 45 minutes or an hour. And then I put them in containers. And these things they're so amazing. They're so good. I love them. Yes, Lane, you have your hand up.
Yeah, so we've got some folks out here. We've got Gary.
Gary.
I said, what's up, guys?
Independent motorcycle crew.
We've got Clementi's Takeout out in Napa saying hello.
Hey, Clementi's. New friends.
We have Bill Deal. He said, I'll give those onions a try.
Yeah, I would do a show just on these and just cook them to have them around all the time.
He said he doesn't can't stand the fried onions on anything.
Yeah, it leaves my roof of my mouth coated with oil. I don't like that.
Yeah, these things are just outstanding.
Yeah.
Jay Judge, he's jealous.
Why? Because he's not here.
He's not here, and he loves us.
I love you too, Jay.
I saw your
From
mom.
New Mexico.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw your mom out there. She didn't say hi.
Hello, Mother.
All right.
All right,
back to
cool.
you.
So I did these in advance, and here's the cool thing about this recipe. You can do a couple of the elements in advance. So these will last weeks in an airtight container. So I have them, and I have them ready for Thanksgiving. Let's mosey on over to the stove, if you will. And I'm going to, I'm going to leave the light there. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay. So let's go over some of our other ingredients here.
All right.
So obviously we have our string beans. These were fresh string beans. I had to do them in advance because we need I didn't want to take the time blanching them and chilling them and all that stuff. So these are string beans. I cut them in about 2-inch pieces. I blanched them in boiling salted water for about 3 minutes. Take the rawness off, drained them, put them in an ice bath, chilled them down. And then I took them out and I put them in here. Okay, so we also have a little bit of that shallot oil I told you about. And this is like a byproduct. It's like a freebie. Really, really good.
Bonus.
Yeah, bonus. There you go. And some butter. We got some garlic.
Come down this way.
Yeah, we got the garlic. Garlic right here. And then we have some flour. What we're doing is we're going to cook the mushrooms in the oil and butter. And then we are going to throw in the mushrooms. Once they release their water, throw in the garlic. Then we're going to throw in the flour. We're making what's called a compound roux. That is fat and flour, equal parts. And then whenever you add another element to it, it becomes a compound roux. Not complex. So I'm going to get that fire going. And we're doing this on high.
Could you move the green beans?
I could move the green beans.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is that better?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Fantastic. Looks like Ava is asked to join the Grateful Chef
All right.
group.
I will go.
So Lynn will get you right on there, Ava. All right, so I'm looking at the recipe because, I'm old and I don't want to mess it up. All right, here we go. So I'm putting in the oil. That's the shallot oil. And I'm going to melt the butter in. So the oil can be a higher temperature. The butter flavors the oil a little bit more. So you got butter and shallot oil so far.
So this is the part that makes it all creamy and everything else
Yes,
inside
so
it?
basically we're going to focus on making that cream sauce.
So there's no cream in the cream sauce?
There is cream in the cream sauce.
Ah.
I have it in the fridge, Molly.
I missed that part.
So this is not just cream. So I'm going to let this butter melt, and the butter is going to foam up. Once the foaming subsides, we're putting in our vegetables. So this is not just cream. This is it's heavy cream. It's a little bit of soy sauce and chicken stock, a cup of chicken stock. So that's all mixed together. You can do that in advance. So you can make I told you the shallots you can make in advance. You can also make this cream sauce in advance. And if that weren't enough, you could actually build this thing, the casserole, and you could put it in your refrigerator for 2 days. So you can do it well in advance. One thing you don't have to worry about Thanksgiving Day, and then on Thanksgiving Day, just throw it in the oven. All right, so you can see that our butter is foaming. And you see that?
That's good. Good.
All right, so now it has subsided. Now you hear no more sizzling. All right, so now we're putting in our mushrooms.
And as you're doing that, Mark Purcell said this has been a 7-year mission of mine. Hey, Mark, what as?
All right, I'm going to use a little rubber spatula here because this is a non-stick pan, and I will be using a whisk later, but I'm going to be using it very gently. So what's going to happen to these mushrooms, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it so far, the water is coming out of them. Okay, you'll see it as more water will come out. So basically, you don't really have to do much to this. Kind of let the water come out of it, and then we'll toss it around a little bit. See, now can you see there's more water in there now? Look. See, I'm interested to find out what Mark's 7-year mission. Was this a mission to make? I believe he commented this week. Yeah, about doing a fresh green bean casserole. It's not quite as easy as opening a couple of cans, but the little extra effort is well worth in the final product. So you can see all the liquid in there now?
Yes, and can you move the cream stuff?
Yes.
My arm gets tired.
Okay. All right, so we're going to let this water come out of the mushrooms, and we're going to let them dry out just a little bit.
What do you mean you're going to let them dry out? So
Well, you want that water to evaporate.
Okay.
All right? So while that's happening, I had to make, I'm going to talk about our dinner because obviously I'm not just serving our guests string bean casserole. So
but you guys would be happy with that, wouldn't you?
They would be very happy with that. You could eat this for dinner. And in my sous vide bath, I have a tri-tip right now.
I'm going to take a quick look at
Go
that.
ahead. It's been in there for a couple hours at 128 degrees. It'll be nice, medium rare.
All right. Right
Okay.
there.
I also have these. I made these. I made a mousse from scallops and salmon, and I put them in these little tins. I cooked them in a water bath in the oven earlier today. I'm just going to put some heat on them. And then these are cheddar cheese bread or rolls.
Yeah.
And I've injected them with Cheese Whiz.
Injection.
Okay.
A Cheese Whiz injection.
I'm like, they're cheddar cheese rolls. Wasn't that enough?
No, I didn't have enough. And then I'm doing a truffle mashed potato over here. I had a small batch of that I'm making. So, yeah, this is coming along really good.
And your truffle mashed potatoes, what did you put in there to make it truffly? Oil or
I
the
used
essence?
I used truffle oil. Now, before anybody panics, we happen to have come across a truffle oil in Spain that does not have the chemical truffle flavor that a lot of truffle oils here in the United States has. It has nice pieces of truffle in there, and it's really, really pure truffle. And I also used one of my favorite ingredients that is on our website under the favorite tools and ingredients, and that is this. This is the truffle zest from Sabatino Truffle, and it is really, really unbelievable. Mmm.
You like truffle?
Never had it.
It's a mushroom. Here you go, Paul.
We'll come back in. Take a look at the mushroom.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Where's your truffle?
Magical.
it's in the behind you. All right, so you can see now that the water is beginning to dissipate, and I'm waiting for these mushrooms to really sizzle. What I really want left in this pan is the mushrooms and the butter and oil. So I want all the liquid to disappear. And we are just about there.
All right.
So at this point,
I was going to show them the truffle oil, so
okay,
you can actually see.
yep. So here is the truffle oil. We bought it in Spain. There it is. And inside, you can see the actual truffles in there. Really, really good product. Love it. Okay, back to the cooking. All right, so this is ready. You can see now there's very little liquid. What liquid is in there is actually the oil and the butter. So I'm going to turn the heat down to medium high because I don't want my garlic to burn. And then we're putting the garlic in. And this is just 3 cloves of minced garlic. And I want to just bloom this. So I want this to, and you'll know when it's there because you'll start to smell all the amazing garlic flavor. And you definitely don't want it to burn. Well, you know, about 30 seconds is all it really takes. How's that smell, honey?
That smells so good.
Okay, so now we're getting into the compound roux aspect. We're adding the flour. The flour is going to absorb all the oil and the butter, and this is going to come together as a paste. So you really want to stir it well. You don't want any lumps in here because that's not good for anything that you use a roux for. And you can see it just all absorbed any and all fat that was in this pan.
Wow, that was fast too.
Yep. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just cooking out the rawness of the flour. So all you want to do, you don't want it to brown, you just want to cook the rawness out of it. Does not take long at all. All right.
And I never really got the rawness thing until I actually had the flour.
Yes, the smell is good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they don't really get wonderful kitchen sound on it.
All right. So now I'm going to add our cream mixture.
Just dump it in.
Yep, dump it in. I'm going to begin whisking because if there are any lumps, and I'm not pressing hard with my whisk because I don't want to damage my non-stick. I'm basically just breaking up any lumps that may be in there.
I got a question, Chef.
Yes.
Why don't you have a rubber-coated whisk?
You know what? Because I have other whisks, and as long as you are gentle and careful, there's not really a problem. I wouldn't use a knife and cut something in the pan.
Of course.
But you know, this coating is durable enough for me to run a whisk over it, as long as I'm not pushing down. I'm not trying to whip it. I'm not trying to, you know, make whipped cream, you know?
Okay,
So
so
I want to bring this to a boil, and what you're looking for here is you want this to become the consistency of like a pancake batter or heavy cream itself, you know? So heavy cream can be boiled, and that is exactly what we're looking for. Bringing it to a boil. You can see it starting to bubble around the edges already.
and Kevin McLeany, 'tis the season for cooking and eating.
It sure is. Wait, there's a season for cooking and eating?
You can see the edges are.
Yep.
Every day that ends in Y.
And you can see it's thickening. So this will thicken as it boils, because what we've done with our roux like every roux, fat and flour, every flour molecule gets surrounded by fat. So when you add that to a liquid, they separate and disperse themselves throughout the liquid, and that's how it thickens the liquid. You can see it. It happens very quickly.
So
Yes.
when Paul was asking about the whisk,
Yeah.
do you have anything against having a rubber-coated whisk?
I don't, but I just don't,
We just have 5 whisks.
yeah, I just don't feel like I need a whisk. But by all means, I'm not against them. It's just I cook when I use a whisk in a nonstick. I'm conscious about it. So
I've got a little one, that's why I asked.
yeah.
Yeah, that and he doesn't really have me cook, so he doesn't have to worry about me.
So you can see
managing
now
his hands.
the viscosity of this is changing. You can tell by the bubbles
Oh wow!
starting to look like pancake batter.
Ah, it smells so good.
And we are almost done. I want to season this with a little salt and pepper. So I'm going to a little pinch of salt. And I have chosen to use white pepper here because it's a white sauce.
There you go.
I'm going to turn this down because it is as thick as I want it. All right. Now it's real easy. I'm going to let it go just a second more as I mixed it in. Our seasoning. I mean, you could almost eat this like this as mushroom soup, cream of mushroom.
It's red.
So isn't that the
Oh,
point?
yeah.
We're basically making our own cream of mushroom soup. You could like double this recipe and just stop here. But that's not what we're doing tonight. All right. At this point, I'm taking my string beans or green beans, whatever your preference is. I'm putting them in our cream sauce.
Are they at room temperature right now?
These are. And then I am also putting in a half a cup of those awesome fried shallots. Look at those.
Yumminess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told Lynn today I'm glad she wasn't home while I was making these because
They were that good.
then we'll actually have some for the recipe. So now I'm just going to turn this around, coat everything, make sure all those shallots are mixed in.
Wow, that looks good.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about this? And for those who joined in late, it's a lot of things that you can make before Thanksgiving.
Right, so you can make that cream sauce, let it cool, put it in the refrigerator. Have your beans already blanched. You can obviously make the shallots ahead of time. All right, this looks amazing. Okay, what I want to do is I want to put our rolls in because we're like in the home stretch. Put these in.
How about your
I'm going to put these in. All right. Now, let's go over to the cutting board, shall we?
alrighty?
Okay, so what I did with this recipe is I took a full recipe and I cut it in half. So I did half that's in the oven for us, ready now, and then I did half. So this is a half portion. So when you're doing it for Thanksgiving, you're obviously not going to do a little one like this. You want to do a really big one.
If you have
If you have a small,
family, yeah.
just 2, for sure. If you have only 2, you're definitely going to want to make at least half because you'll eat this all week.
Probably the leftovers are probably
Yeah.
delicious too, huh?
Exactly.
Michael Garabian said that looks amazing.
Yeah, it
Nice.
really is. I mean, it's, we're elevating every component of the classic dish that our grandparents and probably their grandparents made. So we're using fresh string beans over the canned string beans. So we're going to have some textural we've elevated the texture. We're gonna, those crispy shallots. I can't even say enough about them. And then we're making a homemade cream sauce. That what could be bad about that? So this is it. Let's see if we can see that. It's a little washed out.
I'm gonna come towards you so you
Come towards me.
So you.
It's close to the light. Look at this.
Yeah.
Whoops.
All right, so this is going to go into our 350-degree oven for about 15 or 20 minutes. You're going to get those beans cooked. Everything's going to come together. And through the magic of television,
Abracadabra.
Will you add more shallots on the top?
then exactly, you then sprinkle the top with fresh shallots. And let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, so you're putting it in there until it's bubbly. And that is exactly what this is. All right. Let me have something to put. I'll put it right on here, so you don't have to go to the stove.
Awesome.
I cannot wait to try
The
this.
smell is
right.
incredible.
Now, you can see everything has come together. Probably should let it cool, but
Because it's going to be hot.
because it's going to be hot, I'm going to plate up a portion because
You can.
Nice, and it's creamy, and it's delicious.
And this
See, if
thing,
you let this cool a little bit, the cream will set just a little bit. Right now it's a little bit liquidy. What you can do is, if you prefer, you can, when we were cooking it on the stove, you can make it a little bit thicker if you want. But I don't mind a little. It's almost like a gravy.
and if I recall, the green bean casserole was started by Campbell's, and they were
Yeah.
running a contest, and this woman came up with a recipe to make green bean casserole. So I think she worked for the company, and then they started selling a lot more cream and mushroom soup.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. I'm going to take some of this sauce, this
I learned that
gravy.
on Facebook.
See? Facebook is good. All right. Now, I'm going to just sprinkle it on my portion because I don't want to waste these. Actually, I'm going to use the one. I almost used the one I'm saving for Thanksgiving. I'm going to put a little bit of, just a little.
Oh yeah.
So we've got
Don't be shy.
John Hintz says looks awesome. Thanks for sharing. Mark Mangano, better do a good job. Your mom is watching.
Don't get me started.
Pressure.
Yeah, his mom wanted you to use the canned ones and the original.
So there we go.
Cream and
Look at those.
mushroom.
Beans
Oh, yeah.
are vibrant and green. Those crispy shallots on top. The mushrooms are just infused into that cream with the garlic. All right, honey, here we go.
You've got your fork.
That's hot. All right,
All right, man.
let's see. I'm looking for these beans to have substance, Still a little crunch to them. Dip it right in there.
Blow.
Yeah, because that's just steamy.
Mmm.
All right.
They're so good. The cream, you may not like salt as much as I do. I love salt. So I'm going to put a little bit of salt on it. Maybe a little touch of white pepper. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. All right. Okay. Winner. So this is everything that you want in a green bean casserole or a string bean casserole. But I feel like I'm eating, and not just I feel like it, I know that I am eating something that is not processed, that is all natural, made with, great ingredients. The flavors really come together. It's classic. And that's it. That's what we got from our labor. And it wasn't really that hard to do. Obviously, I did some stuff in advance, but you can do it too. I would much rather serve this to my family than open the cans. So hopefully you agree and that you will try this. We'll have the recipe posted. If you have any questions, you can always reach out for me in many different ways, right on Facebook, Messenger, whatever ways you need to. And that's it for this week's episode. So, as I always say, be well, eat well, be kind, be nice, and love each other, because that is all we have, is each other. You know, we're all in this together. And we will see you on the next Grateful Chef video next week for another great Thanksgiving side dish. Peace.